Captain Amina Shepard stood alone on the observation deck of the HMS Vigilant, gazing into the glittering void of Sector 47. Beyond the reinforced viewport, distant suns blossomed in twin clusters, their light refracted by drifting cosmic dust. The stars had always been her confidants, silent witnesses to her dreams of exploration. Yet today, as she watched the ships of the Deathworld fleet glide past in grim procession, her heart weighed as heavily as the fleet's steel hull. The Deathworld fleet, once the pride of the United Earth Coalition, had long since become a moving fortress, its original mission of exploration and aid supplanted by something darker: incarceration. Worlds deemed unstable or dangerous were quarantined, their surviving inhabitants pressed into servitude on brutal mining colonies, and those who resisted were deported into the fleet's endless cells. The word asylum had been outlawed decades ago. Compassion was considered a weakness and mercy a crime. Shepard sighed, straightening her uniform tunic. Her promotion to captain had seemed an honor until she inherited this ship and its broken legacy. The bridge of the Vigilant hummed with activity, lieutenants monitoring sensor grids, ensigns charting troop transports, and tactical officers tweaking drone patrol vectors. Each console flicker reminded her that every system aboard was built to hunt down refugees, dissenters, and any life deemed unworthy of salvation. Her calm badge buzzed. Captain to the bridge, came Commander Ishani Rao's clipped voice. Rao, the Vigilant's first officer, had served under Shepard since they both graduated from the academy. Rao's reputation for unflappable composure was legendary. Beneath her cool exterior, Shepard knew, beat a heart equally troubled by their orders. Shepard watched as the nav console's holo display glitched, then stabilized on a bright, pulsing dot, an unauthorized transmission beacon. Rao exchanged a puzzled look with the communications officer. We're detecting an incoming signal. Captain, it's subspace encoded, but the signature matches Kiara V's old colony frequency. Shepard's brow furrowed. Kiara V, a forsaken rock at the galactic rim, stripped of every scrap of value and left to its irradiation storms. 12 years ago, the planet had fallen under the Quisling Directive. Any who survived its initial purges were consigned to labor camps until they died. No transmissions had come through in a decade. If anything still lived there, it should have been long extinguished. Patch it through, she ordered. Static crackled for heartbeats. Then the bridge fell silent, save for the rasp of a single, urgent voice, alien in cadence, yet carrying a plaintive resonance. We are the Ellery. Our world is dying. We seek asylum. A collective gasp rippled through the officers. Rao's fingers danced over her console. This is impossible. Ellery biology can't survive Kiara V's radiation levels. Yet here they are, Shepard murmured, fascination and dread warring in her chest. She keyed her mic. Ellery, this is Captain Amina Shepard of the HMS Vigilant. You are within a quarantine zone. State your intent. The response came swiftly, tinged with desperation. Plague of shadows. Core collapse imminent. Population reduced to 0.03 of capacity. If we perish, our culture and our knowledge will be lost. We beg you, grant us sanctuary for a moment. No one spoke. The Quisling Directive was absolute. No unauthorized life forms could enter Deathworld space. Any violation was punishable by death. To disobey would be an act of insubordination tantamount to treason. The Vigilant, like every ship in the fleet, was armed to enforce that doctrine. Rao broke the silence. Captain, we have standing orders. We destroy any shuttle or vessel attempting unauthorized landing. We cannot relent now. Shepard's gaze never left the flickering icon on the holoprojector. She saw not icons or orders, but lives teetering on the brink of annihilation. The memory of her academy mentor came to mind. Admiral Chen, a stern man with a reputation for ruthlessness. Yet once he had whispered to her in confidence, a true captain must know when to bend the rules for the sake of those who cannot save themselves. Her hand hovered over the console. Open tactical display, she commanded. Rao complied. A 3D model of Kiara V materialized, its surface pockmarked with collapsed domes and haphazard mining rigs. The colony's orbital defenses glinted like rusted teeth. Any descent within orbital range would trigger automated missiles. Distance to surface settlement? Shepard asked. 42,000 clicks, the navigator reported. Shuttle. Flight time, under maximum thrust, 12 minutes. For missile platforms still active. Shepard's mind raced. What resources do we have for covert insertion? Cloaking modules, electronic countermeasures, route capture console. We could jury-rig 2 shuttles with thermal dampeners, limit speed to avoid detection. But it's a tight window and the storms below will slow us further. Do it, Shepard said. Assemble a boarding party. Myself, Lieutenant Kashmir Vance, Dr. Isaac Luis, and the translator Aitauna. Everyone else stands down. Behind Shepard's back, Rowan hailed sharply, but she only nodded. Yes, Captain. As the bridge erupted into hurried preparations, Shepard returned to the viewport. Stars drifted by, unaware and uncaring. She tightened her jaw and whispered, "Hold on." In the shuttle bay, the boarding party gathered around a sleek craft painted matte black. Engineers fitted the exterior with heat diffusers and noise suppression panels salvaged from decommissioned stealth prototypes. Lucas Sparks Moreno, chief engineer, handed each team member a modified rebreather to filter the planet's irradiated atmosphere. Lieutenant Cash Vance, security chief, checked her plasma carbine's charge pack. Her eyes, normally steely and unyielding, flickered with uncertainty. She approached Shepard. "Captain, if High Command finds out, they'll execute us all." Shepard met her gaze. "Then let us buy our executioners a moment of shame." She offered a wry smile, or better yet, give them a reason to change their orders. Dr. Isaac Luis, xenobiologist, hefted a bulky case containing diagnostic scanners and triage kits. "I've studied the Ellery data. Their physiology adapts to extreme radiation, almost symbiotic. But they're out of biostabilizers. Without them, they'll die in hours." Shepard nodded. "Then we have more reason than ever." A sleek, floating sphere of alloyed uranium hovered at Dr. Luce's shoulder. Its polyglot translation matrix blinked with readiness. Ellery language model at 99.8% accuracy. Diagnostic protocols loaded. Shepard gave the order, in synchronized motion. The 2 shuttles lifted off, plunging into the hangar's gravity, while vanishing into the murky expanse beyond. On the bridge, only Rao remained. She tapped her badge. "This is Command. Stealth Protocol Alpha engaged. May the stars watch over you." Shepard didn't hear it. Her mind was already racing ahead, dreaming of eyes like molten gold, of a civilization's last hope flickering, on the brink, and of how she, alone among tens of thousands, had chosen to answer a dying world's plea. As the shuttle bay doors sealed behind them, the Vigilance captain stood at the threshold of rebellion, guided by a simple conviction: no fleet of death could extinguish the promise of mercy. The hush of space enveloped the shuttles, carrying them and the fate of 2 species into the heart of a dying world. The shuttle's engines roared in her ears as Captain Amina Shepard braced herself against the cabin wall. Outside the observation port, Kiara V's dying skies churned with sulphurous clouds, streaked by lightning that danced like writhing specters. The shuttle pitched and yawed, buffeted by gravity turbulence and radiation gusts. Lieutenant Kashmir Vance sat at the controls, knuckles white on the throttles. "Stabilizers at 20%, Cash reported between gritted teeth. "These storms are worse than the simulations predicted." Dr. Isaac Luis hovered near the hatch, TAUNAS soft chatter humming in his helmet earpiece. "I'm reading ambient radiation spikes up to 1,100 rem per hour, he said. "I've never—" He cut off as a bolt of crystalline lightning struck the shuttle's starboard flank, jolting them all. Sparks rained from the console. Shepard grabbed the comm panel. "Engineer Moreno, status." Lucas Sparks Moreno's voice crackled with static. "We're losing thruster integrity to secondary boosters offline. I'm rerouting power, but it'll cost us maneuvering capability." Cash exhaled sharply. "We need to drop below storm altitude or we'll get shredded." Shepard stood, strapping herself into the central jump seat. "Coordinates to the settlement are locked. Cut through the lower cloud bank at vector to 70. We'll use the planetary magnetic anomalies for cover." Cash nodded, weaving the shuttle downward. Outside, the cloud layer split like a gash, revealing Kiara V's ravaged surface. Jagged ridges of obsidian rock jutted from desolate plains, and half-buried mining rigs lay silent as crashed leviathans. Dozens of battered docking ports and shuttle bays dotted the horizon, silent tombs of those who'd tried to escape the planet's fury before. Visual on settlement, Cash said, voice tight. Below, the Ellery colony's domes glimmered like half-buried pearls. Plumes of yellow dust billowed around their bases, where makeshift barricades and rusted mining carts formed an outer perimeter. A cluster of damaged solar rays speared the sky at odd angles. Prepare for rapid decompression, Shepard ordered. Moreno's voice confirmed, life support at 50%, enough for 30 minutes. TAUNA projected a holographic overlay of the settlement's layout. Primary shuttle bay is compromised. Recommend LZ Bravo an emergency extraction zone northeast of the main domes. Coordinates in your nav. Cash toggled the display. LZ Bravo it is, she banked. The shuttle, skimming over smoking crater fields. As they approached the landing zone, automated turrets awoke with a dull thrum. Tripods of salvaged artillery aimed skyward. Turrets are still active, the tactical officer warned. They'll fire on any unidentified craft. Shepard's jaw tightened. Evasive approach. Use the canyon's shadow. Cash plunged the shuttle into a winding gorge. Walls of eroded basalt closed in. The shuttle's hull groaned under the stress. Moreno's voice crackled. Hull integrity at 80%. We can't take another hit. At the canyon's mouth, the settlement lay open before them. Shepard keyed her calm button. Ellery, this is Captain Shepard. You'll be landing at LZ Bravo. Prepare ground team for immediate evacuation. The answer came in rapid. Ellery translated by TAU. NA, understood. Ground team will signal with flares. Moments later, bright green luminescent flares shot skyward from the settlement's edge, illuminating the rubble-strewn plain. 300 meters out, a battered shuttle bay fought against the wind. Ellery workers, tall, gaunt figures in patched biosuits, darted between overturned vehicles, carrying injured to awaiting stretchers. Touchdown in 30 seconds, Cash called. She throttled back, shuttle skimming the ground. A stray bolt of lightning scorched the plateau, sending a shockwave through loose stone. The landing gear hit the dust with a jarring thud. The shuttle pitched forward, fins scraping. Brakes, Cash shouted. Sparks flew as the skid plates grated against fractured basalt. The shuttle slammed upright, engines whining as she cut. Power, the hatch burst open and Shepard led the charge onto the windswept desert. Radiation thrummed in the pit of her stomach. Behind her, Vance and the security team formed a tight semicircle, carbines raised. Dr. Luis and TAUNA deployed decontamination mats and triage equipment. The Ellery ground team rushed forward. Their leader, a tall woman with luminescent veins tracing her pale skin, bowed deeply. Captain Shepard, thank the stars you heard us. Her voice, though accented, carried a warmth that cut through the gale. Shepard inclined her head. Status report. The Ellery leader named Silverish pointed to the domes. Two reactors are irreparable. Our stores of biostabilizers are depleted. The storms worsen by the hour. She gestured to the wounded, half a dozen colonists, groaning in stretchers, burns and lacerations etched across their skin. Dr. Luis knelt beside a pale-skinned child, eyes glassy. His hand hovered over the rebrother's mask. These civilians need immediate stabilization. How many fit into shuttles? Silverus hesitated, pain flickering across her features. 50. But we ask for mercy. Prioritize the weakest. The rest will follow when you secure a perimeter on the mesa above. Shepard glanced skyward at more lightning flashes. Understood. She turned to Vance. Set up defensive positions on the high ground. One squad per approach vector. Use the canyon walls for cover. Vance barked orders. Security teams melted into the rocks, establishing firing lanes. Moreno and additional engineers set to work reinforcing the shuttle's hull with heat diffusive panels they'd brought. TAUNA hovered beside Dr. Luis, monitoring vital signs and cycling decontamination protocols. As the first survivors, elderly, weak, and bleeding, were guided aboard, Shepard kept her senses sharp. Truth be told, she'd expected resistance, yet these weren't fighters. They were scholars, farmers, artisans, people whose greatest weapon had been their culture. In their eyes, she saw both hope and anguish. Suddenly, Silverus pointed toward the settlement. The mining AI is awakening. It will purge all organic life within 2 minutes. Shepard cursed. That AI was supposed to be offline. She flicked back to the tactical display. A dozen automated drone carriers were powering up among the debris-rusted hulls. Intent on extermination. Vance, Shepard called. Those drones can't escape. If we can punch through that group, use EMP grenades on their reactor cores, we buy time. Vance's team surged forward. In a blur of motion, security operatives hurled pulsar charges, each detonated with a cascade of electromagnetic energy, sending sparks showering as drone circuits fried. Caught in the blast, one carrier crashed, sending a plume of black smoke into the sky. But the AI retaliated. From the settlement's edge, automated turrets opened fire on the shuttle and evacuation point. Shells impacted around Shepard's feet, sending shards of basalt flying. The ground shook. "Evac complete," Shepard yelled over the roar. "TAUNA." Chirped urgently. 40 civilians aboard. 2 wounded critical. Shuttle engines offline, thrusters damaged. Moreno's voice cut through the chaos. "I can get us airborne, but you'll need to manually reroute the power couplings." He gestured to the open engine panel. Cash bounded toward the shuttle's aft. "Cover me," she ordered her team. Bullets traced arcs through the irradiated air. Ellery refugees sheltered in the shuttle's shadow. Shepard joined Moreno at the engine compartment. Sparks flew literally where Moreno's welding torch bridged circuits. Shepard handed him a plasma conduit from her pack. "Plug it there," she said, pointing. Moreno nodded and slid into the cramped space. Outside, a final strike from the turrets shredded the shuttle's aft hull. The blast knocked Shepard off her feet. Pain flared in her side, but she kicked herself up, racing to adjust the last coupling. The engine bank roared, power surging. "Thrusters online," Moreno shouted, ducking away as panels fused. Cash's voice crackled. "All clear on the ground. Get moving." Shepard dove into the cockpit, slamming her shoulder against the seat. "Hang on," she screamed, and the shuttle leapt into the air, breaking into a steep climb. Below, the settlement erupted in flames as the final mining reactor blew. The AI's self-destruct sequence triggered by Ellery saboteurs. Lightning raked the sky, illuminating the shuttle's battered hull as it punched upward. The canyon walls receded. The domes of Kiara V vanished behind a curtain of dust and fire. Inside, Shepard slumped against her seat, every breath a reminder of wounds both physical and moral. Across from her, Silverus held a trembling child, tears streaking crystalline veins. "Thank you," she whispered. Shepard met her gaze, voice hoarse. "This is just the beginning." As the shuttle cleared the atmosphere, Captain Amina Shepard stared at the dying planet below its final gasp, a testament to the cost of oppression. Above them, beyond the storms and the wreckage, a corridor of stars beckoned, carrying refugees, rebels, and their reluctant saviors toward an uncertain mercy. The HMS Vigilant drifted through Deathworld space like a wounded beast, its engines idling against the cold current of the galactic trade lanes. In the shuttle bay, Captain Amina Shepard watched over the last of the Ellery refugees disembarking, their gaunt faces illuminated by the harsh floodlights. Behind her, Lieutenant Kashmir Vance and Dr. Isaac Luis coordinated triage stations, while TAUNA floated silently, translating whispers of relief and fear. A temporary medical ward had been erected in the former brig. Biocontainment curtains sealed off the infirm, their translucent panels stained with antiseptic spray. Dozens of Ellery lay on stretchers, some convulsing from radiation poisoning, others weak from dehydration and malnutrition. Human medics moved between beds with nervous efficiency, unfamiliar with Ellery anatomy but determined to learn. Shepard stood at the ward's entrance. Silverus, the Ellery emissary, approached with quiet grace, her luminescent veins dimmed by exhaustion. "Your doctors are doing marvels," she whispered. "Only 3 of the 20 critical did not survive." Shepard's shoulders sagged. "I'm sorry for each life lost. We've saved hundreds more." She paused, glancing at the sealed brig doors. "But this is not home. We can't keep you here forever." Before Silverus could reply, An alarm klaxon shattered the uneasy calm. Red lights bathed the corridor. Over the PA, Commander Ishani Rao's voice crackled. All hands to general quarters. This is not a drill. Heart pounding, Shepard sprinted. Down the passage, in the tactical control room, Rao and Lieutenant Vance confronted the main holoscreen. High Command's transmitting seal pulsed in urgent red. The message scrolled across the viewport. Captain Shepard, you are ordered to isolate the Ellery in maximum security brig cells. Quarantine protocols dictate no integration with crew spaces. Failure to comply will result in immediate court-martial for insubordination. Admiralty Directive 673B. High Command. Rao's jaw tightened. They intend to lock them up alongside the worst criminals. Radiation survivors or not, they're aliens. Vance slammed a fist on the console. They saved their own kind, and we nearly died trying to help them. We can't betray them now. Shepard inhaled. The weight of command pressed down on her. She thought of the children in the ward, of Silvaris's trembling hands, of the Ellery scholar clutching data crystals, their civilization's last testament. If she obeyed, hope died twice, once on Kiara V, and again behind these bars. She keyed her badge. Prepare a status report for the refugees. I'll respond. Moments later, she transmitted her reply under encrypted clearance levels. High Command, Ellery survivors have been medically cleared of contagion. Their adaptive physiology presents no threat. Request suspension of brig detainment order. Propose civilian integration under humanitarian charter until permanent sanctuary can be arranged. Captain Shepard. No sooner had she sent it when an incoming message pinged back a terse denial. Order stands. You have 1 hour to comply. The hour began, and with it, a countdown to treason. In the ward, Dr. Isaac Louise hovered over a trembling patient. Her radiation levels are dropping. He murmured to Nurse Moriakin. Whatever we did worked. Moria nodded, eyes bright, then glanced toward Shepard. Captain, the children are asking for stories. They heard the legend of Earth. Could you tell them about your world? Shepard managed a small smile. Of course. She knelt beside a group of Ellery children huddled around a holoprojector. As she narrated scenes of green forests and ocean tides, the children's eyes grew wide, imagining colors they had never seen beyond yellow storms and ashes. For a moment, the brig deck faded away. Behind her, guards began herding lightly wounded Ellery from the ward toward the brig cells. The shift in tone was brutal. Volunteers, once tended like patients, now marched like prisoners. Alarmed medics protested. Guards leveled rifles. Silvers stepped forward, raising her voice in Ellery, a clear, sonorous tone. These people saved us. You cannot imprison them. Lieutenant Vance advanced. Hands raised. Captain's orders. No restraints until further notice. A guard barked. Directive from High Command overrides ship's orders. He leveled his weapon at Vance. Before anyone could react, Shepard's voice rang out. Lieutenant Vance, stand down. She strode between the guard and the refugees, badge gleaming. This ship answers to me. No one imprisons these refugees. The guard hesitated, eyes flicking to Shepard. In that instant, the power dynamic cracked. Slowly, he dropped to a salute, voice trembling. Aye, Captain. A hush fell. The refugees, the medics, even the remaining guards all turned to Shepard. The brig doors slid shut, and the alarm silenced. That evening, under the artificial sky of the midship recreation dome, Shepard convened a council. Around a polished holotable sat her senior officers, Commander Rao, Lieutenant Vance, Dr. Luis, Chief Engineer Moreno, and by Shepard's invitation Silvers herself. Shepard began. We've defied High Command. We're all at risk of court-martial. But I believe we can forge a new path, one that upholds our duty to protect life, not imprison it. Suggestions. Rao leaned forward. We need a legal framework. High Command will never formally sanction Asylum. But if we broadcast the Ellery's story, data crystals, medical scans, testimonies across civilian comm channels, we might pressure the coalition's politicians. Moreno nodded. I can rig our comm ray to subspace broadcast directly to civilian nets. It would be a breach, but if it escapes censorship. Dr. Luis tapped his tablet. We've compiled enough clinical data to prove the Alluri's unique biology and cultural value. Humanity's medical and scientific community will rally to archive this knowledge. If they know it exists, Sylvaris's golden eyes gleamed. Our archives contain centuries of philosophy, art, and technology. We will share freely with your world if you grant us sanctuary, Vance added softly. We'll need to train our crew cultural orientation, language immersion, basic Ellery, customs. We can't just dump them into a new society and expect them to adapt overnight. Shepard smiled for the first time that day. Good. We have a plan. Tonight, we go public. Tomorrow, we defend this ship and these lives from anyone who dares call us traitors. In the stillness of the night, the Vigilant's calm ray hummed to life. With Moreno's covert sequencing, a high-gain transmission pierced Coalition space, carrying images of scarred refugees, the final moments of Kiaravi's destruction, and Sylvaris's plea to all who hear us in humanity's darkest prisons. We found mercy. In the face of tyranny, we chose compassion. The Ellery stand ready to join you as allies, as scholars, as friends. Let this be the beginning of a new chapter in our shared history. As the message echoed across millions of star systems, Captain Shepard stared at the holo globe of the galaxy, countless points of light flickering like potential flames of rebellion. She placed a hand on Sylvaris's shoulder. Tomorrow, the real battle begins. Beneath the surface of the Vigilant, behind sealed bulkheads and armed gunports, hope and defiance stirred together. The refugees of Kiaravi slept at last, knowing they were safe for now, and Captain Amina Shepard, once a servant of the Deathworld fleet, now led a small revolution against its very heart. Captain Amina Shepard did not sleep that night. In her quarters, the holo projector cast dancing lights on her walls, replaying Sylvaris's plea and the faces of the Ellery children. Every data crystal, every grain of their history felt like a fragile spark she had vowed to protect. Dawn in Deathworld space was a sterile, pale blue glow that filtered through the viewport, illuminating the Vigilant's scarred bulk as it drifted at anchor in the fleet's crowded lanes. On the bridge, crewmen gathered in hushed clusters. Word had spread faster than any official broadcast. The Vigilant had mutinied. Some whispered admiration, others outrage. Captain Shepard entered to scenes of tense excitement. Lieutenant Vance and Commander Rao flanked her, determined expressions on their faces. Report. Shepard said, voice low but steady. Transmission reached 600 systems. Chief Engineer Moreno replied, tapping the console. Civilian. Freighters are diverting course, requesting docking clearance to receive the Ellery. Coalition blockades are scrambling to jam our signal, but we're too pervasive. Dr. Isaac Louis stepped forward, holding a datapad. Medical schools, xenobiology labs, even independent research collectives are broadcasting offers of Asylum. They want the Alluri's biochemistry, art, philosophy, everything. He swallowed. Captain, the public outcry is enormous. A ripple of hope ran through the bridge. Shepard nodded. Good. Let them swarm the Admiralty with petitions. She turned to Rao. Has High Command responded? Rao's fingers danced over her console. They've dispatched Counselor Nathan Zhao and a detachment of Marines. They'll arrive in 2 hours to enforce compliance or to arrest us. Shepard inhaled deeply. Then we must choose our ground. Are we prepared for a standoff? Vance stepped forward. Our security teams are loyal. They believe in this cause. We can hold the Vigilant against any boarding action. Silence fell. The implication was clear. Either the Deathworld fleet would bend or break. 2 hours later, the Vigilant's hangar bay doors parted to admit an elegant, slate-gray gunship bearing High Command's seal. Counselor Nathan Joutal, silver-haired, and draped in the Coalition's crimson sash, stepped aboard, flanked by armored Marines. His eyes, once rumored to show little sympathy, now held a mixture of disdain and curiosity. Captain Shepard, he said, voice resonant, you stand accused of mutiny, treason, and dereliction of duty. Shepard approached, head held high. Sylvaris and a delegation of Ellery elders waited behind her, each bearing data crystals. Counselor Zhao, she replied, I stand accused, yes, but I have saved lives. I have given sanctuary to the innocent. If that is treason, I accept it. Zhao's jaw clenched. He raised a hand. Marines stepped forward. But Vance placed herself between them. Not a step further, she said. These are refugees, not prisoners. You will not lay a hand on them. A Marine leveled his rifle. Zhao's hand hovered over his utility belt. For a heartbeat, the vigilant was caught between two commands, one binding by law, the other by conscience. Then a new voice broke the tension. Tauna, its translation matrix active, spoke in Zhao's native tongue. Counselor Zhao, these are the last survivors of a genocide. Their world has crumbled. Here lie not threats, but hope for renewal. Zhao blinked, taking in the gaunt faces of the Ellery, their scholars clutching the fragile data crystals that encapsulated centuries of art and philosophy. He glanced at the bridge's holo display, scrolling through incoming civilian petitions, medical offers, and diplomatic overtures. The numbers were staggering. Millions of signatures, dozens of governments demanding asylum, entire fleets of civilian ships ready to escort the vigilant home. He lowered his hand. You understand the consequences of your actions, he said. Voice tight, a fleet-wide court-martial, revocation of your commission, perhaps even capital sentence. Shepard tilted her head. Then let our trial be public. Let the people judge us. Zhao hesitated. The Marines' rifles wavered. Very well, he said finally. I will defer my orders until the Coalition Senate convenes. Pending that verdict, the refugees will remain under your protection, Captain. But know this, the fleet's discipline cannot be usurped long. Shepard inclined her head. I'll accept no less. The weeks that followed were a whirlwind of activity. On the Vigilance medical deck, Dr. Luis and Nurse Kin guided Ellery patients through rehabilitation. Children regained strength. Elders learned to control tremors from radiation exposure. And scholars recorded cultural ceremonies in the newly established immersion gallery. Meanwhile, human crews attended workshops led by Ellery teachers, lessons in art, music, and the subtleties of Ellery nonverbal communication, expressed through the glow of their veins. In the hangar bay, civilian freighters and research vessels formed a ring around the vigilant. Their captains sent supplies of clean water, terraforming drones to begin preliminary planet scans, and diplomats eager to draft a new refugee charter. Across the fleet's calm channels, the phrase sanctuary protocol rippled through every sector, yet not all sentiments were benign. Hardliners within the fleet published leaked intelligence about potential bioweapon threats, arguing that no alien could be trusted. International newsreels juxtaposed images of smiling Ellery children with grainy footage of shipboard riots. The debate roared louder than any ion cannon salvo. During this time, Captain Shepard convened a council of sanctuary aboard the Vigilant, a quarterly summit of civilian leaders, coalition delegates, and the Ellery elders. In a grand chamber beneath the bridge, Silvers placed her data crystal on the glass-topped council table. Its soft inner light pulsed, a living archive of her people's legacy. Counselor Zhao, invited as an observer, watched as diplomats debated clauses, rights of asylum, integration measures, terraforming assistance for a new world. Shepard sat at the head, liaisons of 3 species at her side. Votes were cast, amendments proposed, and a new doctrine forged, the Coalition Refugee Accord. When the final holographic text shimmered into being, outlining guaranteed asylum, cultural autonomy, and a commitment to preserve every facet of the Ellery heritage, Shepard felt a warmth she had never known in her years of service. The accord passed unanimously. Zhao rose, breaking the daze's radiance. He met Shepard's gaze. You have given birth to a new era, he said quietly. The fleet will remember this day. Months later, the Vigilant led a flotilla of civilian starships toward Mazar Prime, a newly discovered planet at the edge of explored space. There, the Ellery would establish their first true home, a world terraformed in part by their own radiatio and resistant genes, shaped by human terraforming tech, and overseen by a joint council. The planet's surface glowed with nascent seas of emerald and forests of luminescent flora, in homage to both species' aspiration. On the bridge, Captain Shepard surveyed the approach. Next to her stood Silverus, dressed now in a flowing robe woven with human Ellery patterns. This world will be our shared legacy, Silverus said, voice rich with hope. Shepard nodded. May it shine as a beacon proof that mercy can topple tyranny. She turned to her crew, Ellery and human officers side by side. Prepare for descent. Welcome to Mazar Prime. As the Vigilance shuttles glided down through the planet's pale sky, carrying artists, scholars, engineers, and children clutching data crystals, Captain Amina Shepard allowed herself a rare smile. The hull beneath her feet no longer felt like steel and sorrow, but like a cradle, a vessel of hope carrying the peoples toward a new dawn. And so, the Deathworld fleet, once a symbol of despair, was reborn as the Exile Fleet, liberators, bringers of Asylum, and pioneers of a unified future among the stars, in the broad expanse of space, where worlds could be lost or saved with the flip of a command. Humanity had chosen mercy and, in doing so, reaffirmed its most noble destiny.